How many more do you have?
Just find anyone left-handed.
Who's left-handed here?
Lighty.
Oh yeah, we never talked, but yeah, I am left-handed.
Left-handed, okay. And then someone who can play multiple instruments.
Oh, that one was no
Luke
one.
says he.
Joe, I play
Yeah.
multiple instruments?
No? Oh, that one was tough.
Like, I couldn't play the piano correctly if I wanted.
How do you define an instrument? Something that makes noise?
No,
Music.
music that plays music.
Produces music.
Your mouth can produce music through whistling.
Okay, but is your mouth an instrument,
Yeah,
or is
we
it?
call that singing.
I mean, it's an instrument of your body, but not a musical instrument.
Okay. Alright, can you tell us what bingo you got? And
Yeah,
who,
sure. So I got which ones? Which categories?
Yeah, and who was in there?
Yeah. So within the first 20 seconds of talking to Luke, I got shares your taste in music, likes really spicy food.
What's the music that you
Arabic.
Oh, Arabic.
Oh yeah, that is.
Has gone camping, and then has met somebody famous.
So the first four, just with Luke.
First one with Luke, and then after that, I got it correct. Yeah, likes skiing and snowboarding.
Mm.
Yeah.
But Luke, who's the famous person that you said you met?
How was the cup?
Ah, very nice.
I mean, famous is like subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Sam said, it's
Okay, awesome. Alright, thanks for playing, guys. So now we're gonna go into the actual content of our CARP meeting here. So I just wanted to quickly introduce what CARP is. It's the Collegiate Association for the Research of Principles. And the mission, or kind of like the vision that we have for CARP, is to bring young adults from all backgrounds, religious, cultural, ethnic, based on 3 core values. And these values are God, family, and peace. So if you resonate with any one of these 3 values, you're at home here, and I hope we can continue to discuss more about that. So CARP is an international organization. There's clubs like these in dozens and dozens of campuses in America, and a lot of young people are very inspired to help young people live a fulfilling life. And the people who founded this movement or this club, their names are Reverend and Mrs. Moon, Samuel Moon and Patricia Moon, and they devoted their lives to a world of peace, and they've established hundreds and hundreds of organizations to better this world and reign a world of peace. So some of these organizations include like the Universal Peace Federation. If you look them up, it's a relatively big organization with many world leaders in support. The Women's Federation for World Peace and various others. And I just wanted to share some quick words from Reverend Moon about CARP. So, Jermaine, would you be able to read this word?
One of my motives for establishing CARP lies in the deep passion of university students to not live dwelling on the past, live with endless hope for the future. We respect righteousness and long for truth. The innocent heart of youth is within it the most appropriate foundation to receive God's love.
So what I take from this passage is that we have so much potential as young people because we're looking into the future. We're not just dwelling on our past, and we have so much energy and passion to bring alive our dreams. So if these dreams are aligned with goodness, then we can really bring a world of peace and goodness to inspire many people in the future as well. Yeah, so our CARP vision is to empower the youth to live a life with higher purpose. And the presentation that we'll be hearing today will be about higher purpose and why our origin matters, or why God would matter in our lives. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker today, our CARP president, Luc Jean.
I wish there was like a podium. I feel so exposed about it.
We need a podium there if you want to.
Nah, it's fine.
Yeah, they're actually.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. It was kind of a joke. Okay. So how you guys doing?
Good.
All right. So like Sam said, we're going to be talking about why. This is just for in case people like visuals. Why our origin matters? Now, this is a question that I think we've all asked. Have we all asked this question, like, what is our origin? Like, where did the universe come from? At least once in our lives. I ask that a lot. But when I'm at work or I'm at school, this question is just not there in my head. My question is, how am I going to finish this assignment? How am I going to get through the workday? Why is this person treating me like this? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? But we know deep down that this question does matter to us. It matters to human beings a lot. And human beings have spent their entire existence as a species trying to figure out the answer to this. And so we have all types of cultures, we have all types of religions, and we have all types of philosophies, all types of scientific theories. So let's start off then with something that we can all kind of recognize, which is a logical, thought line. So when we think of our origin, we think of it in two lights. Life, or human beings. What is the origin of life, or human beings? And then what is the origin of the rest of the stuff in the universe? Energy, space, time, the stars, the supernovas, the asteroids, the comets. Well, if we take a look at our closest origin, it would be our parents. Our mother and father, whether they're biological or familial, however we want to, describe it, one man and one woman came together, whether it was, out of love or just out of whatever, to form us. Now, where did they come from? They came from their parents. And you can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on until you get to a first set of parents. Now, this first set of parents has multiple theories. Some people say the first parents are the literal characters of Adam and Eve. Some people say there's some set of first parents, not necessarily named Adam and Eve, but we know we share it through the analysis of the mitochondria, part of our cells, and how they each have the same genetic markers. Some people say that, through evolution, our first parents are the first Homo sapiens that evolved, or the first, there's different theories as to what set of humans was deemed the first conscious and intelligent human beings. A lot of theories to this, but no matter where you go, you're left with first parents. Now let's take a look at the universe. When we break down the elements of the universe, you get things, when you get to a microscopic level, you get molecules, and then you get even smaller things called atoms, and then you get even smaller protons and electrons, then you get even smaller and you get quarks, and then you get into all the stuff that physics, theoretical physics, and subatomic physics talks about. But when you go down the line, eventually you're just left with matter/energy, which, if you believe the Big Bang Theory, is an infinitesimally small point which contained all the matter and energy and everything from the universe. And then it expanded at a infinitesimally rapid speed. So we're left with origin being first parents, and an origin being matter or energy. We say, okay, that's nice, but where do these come from then? And we're left with another question. We're still asking, where is our origin? Where's the origin of these fundamental units? Now, for the universe, right? What did all of this come from? That's the question we gotta answer. What is the source of all this? And that's what we call the origin. And this is what religions and philosophers and theologies call various different names, and what we here call God. Some source of energy and matter that, whatever the origin was, contained all of this. So now if you ask, well, okay, what is God? Religion claims that God is a creator. Now, a creator implies not just, okay, like let's take an artist, right? When you say the word artist, an artist is someone that creates art, it implies that the artist has the means to create the art, like the paint or the easel or something like that. But it also implies that it contains the idea of the work of art. So similarly, if it's true that this origin is a conscious creator, this creator doesn't just have the material origin of all this matter and energy, but it also has some idea. Now, how can we prove that a creator created the universe, that a conscious creator is our origin, is the universe's origin? In other words, how do we prove that the universe was consciously made with ideas? Now, ideas can be observed throughout the universe by looking at it. And if we can look at the entire universe and see universal principles that are applied everywhere without exception, then that's a key to understanding our origin. Because nothing in the universe could come outside its origin. Does that make sense? Like logically speaking, the origin is the source of everything. There's nothing outside the origin. So, what ideas or principles are present in the universe? Well, we got one that's very apparent, is that every unit pairs with one or multiple units to form a higher unit of the universe. For example, a proton and electron, when you break down an atom to its most basic form, I know we have some scientists in here, that's not as simple as that. When you break it down into that simple form, somehow a proton and electron find each other, and through their interaction through gravitational forces, we get an atom. And then atoms have to pair with one or more atoms to create molecules. And atoms are always finding each other in the universe without exception. And molecules are always finding each other to create bigger molecules and elements until you get to stuff where you get to life, where bacteria eventually forms higher life forms. And then eventually you get to plants. And then animals sustain their life by eating plants and each other. And then human beings, which is the highest form of life that we currently know in the universe, but at least on Earth, sustain themselves by consuming lower categories in the universe, animals, plants, etc. So everything in the universe exists for some higher purpose, while at the same time performing its own function. So that's one key idea that's present throughout the universe. Another idea that is present throughout the entire universe is this idea of dual characteristics. And this is especially true for the formation of actual life forms. And let's take human beings as the most advanced form of life that we know currently on the planet. The way human beings are made is through a male and a female. There's no other way around it. That is how human beings are created. And when we look at animals and plants, we see a similar pattern of masculine elements and feminine elements coming together to form a new being, a new life form. So what this tells us, our origin has these two universal principles within itself. These ideas were part of the formation of the universe. So, now that we have that, the question is then, how did the origin create? Because the origin, or God, can't create through any other principle than what it has within itself. Does that make sense, everyone? The origin can't create with any other principles that it doesn't have. It has to use, in other words, these two principles. So in other words, the creator has to have a higher purpose. And what is its higher purpose? It's to create beyond itself. Now, how did it do that? Well, we know that in the universal principle is that life is created through dual characteristics, through a relationship between the two. So in other words, whatever masculinity or masculine elements, whatever feminine elements inside God had a relationship of some sort, an exchange of elements, an exchange of energy, to create the universe, and to create us, human beings. And this is what we call a four-position foundation. In other words, it's a helpful way of viewing the process that God used to create the universe. It's a helpful way of seeing it. Now, what's interesting about this is that when we look at the universe, and when we look at human beings as an example, when a new human being is created, after the act of sexual union is complete, the new human life grows almost entirely off of the mother. It gets all the nutrients, it gets all the food, it forms its head, it forms its brain, it forms its limbs, it forms everything within the mother. So, in terms of God being a creator, this universal principle implies that almost the entire universe originated from this feminine element of the origin. Just as in human beings, a new human life is formed a new human being is formed in the mother, just like this occurs with animals. It's almost 99%. But we have this concept of first parents. We've kind of been talking about the origin of the universe, of matter and energy and all these things. But how does the concept of parent come into play? Because the concept of parent is also present in the universe at various degrees. Because it takes a man and a woman to create a new life. And human beings should call that a set of parents. When God creates, God is creating to also become a parent, or a heavenly parent. In other words, if human beings create new life in order to become parents, in other words, a man and a woman aren't considered parents until the baby comes out. They're just, husband and wife or whatever you want to call them. But as soon as that first child comes out, they are considered parents. They're considered a father and a mother. So likewise, when God, as a creator, finishes creating the universe, he can also be a parent himself. But there's another universal principle that we kind of forgot about, is that everything grows or matures to its final state through time. Everything progresses through time. There's no getting around it. It was 7:41 and how many seconds ago? A few seconds after I said this. Time is constantly progressing. So the universe always develops through time. Plants grow. Sometimes it takes 10 years, 20 years, 100 years. Animals grow. Whether some animals grow really quick. Some animals take a lot longer. Human beings to be mature. For women, it's usually around 17, 18. For men, I believe it's like up to 25 in terms of brain chemistry. It all goes through time. So likewise, when God, or the origin, created the universe, it also took time. Now, why is this so prevalent in human beings? Animals and plants and all other units of the universe don't consciously think about time. But human beings uniquely think about time. So why is that? It's because we have an additional element, responsibility, through this growing period, if you will. We have responsibility. Why is that? when a man and a woman, as the little kid story goes, love each other very much, you were born. That's the key word, love. Love is present in human beings. To some extent, love is present in the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. And to some extent, universal attraction between positive and negative elements, for example, protons and electrons, they constantly find each other, atoms find each other. That attraction is present throughout the universe without exception. And in human beings, that universal attraction is expressed through what we call love. So that love also must have come from the origin, from God. In other words, that was God's universal attraction. That was God's unrepressible desire to create. But love is a choice. By definition, it's a choice. If we don't choose to, carry someone's groceries, we probably don't love them. We're probably just forced into doing it with some sense of morality. When we take care of someone, if we don't love them, chances are we can feel the difference. So likewise, we know that love is a choice. And that's why we have responsibility as human beings. Because if we are to grow, if we are to mature, if we are to follow these universal principles, for us it has to be a choice. For the rest of the universe, it naturally happens. Atoms form molecules. Animals feed off of plants and other animals. It just happens. It's a natural cycle. But for human beings, it's not such a natural cycle. That's where we see a disconnect in our lives. Because we can see that the universe exists for a higher purpose. We can see that the universe is composed of these specific characteristics. We can see that it goes through time. But yet we struggle with growing through time and just being patient as we mature. We struggle with living for a higher purpose constantly. Can we all recognize that? I mean, I certainly do. I hate waiting. I hate waiting. Sam does. I can't stand it. I don't always want to live for a higher purpose. But that's the other question. What is our higher purpose? If we are the highest level of creation or of the universe that we know of, then what is our higher purpose? What is the, beyond us? What is the next unit of the universe that we can form? Well, what was the origin? What was God's highest purpose? As far as we know, hopefully these UFO reports aren't true, because it's gonna, it's not gonna make this, necessarily 100% correct. The origin's highest purpose was human beings. Why? Is the origin a part of our universe or not? Right now, I would say no. I would say that God is outside of this universe. We have to connect with Him outside of this universe. He's not always present. He can be at some points. We feel Him, but at other times we don't feel God. A lot of times in our life we don't feel God. But God needs us to feel Him. God needs us to feel Him. Because if it's true that God created to become a heavenly parent, just as human beings create and then they become parents, God can't be a heavenly parent unless we are considered His children. It's impossible. Otherwise, God is not this heavenly parent. So God needs us to become a heavenly parent. He needs us without question. But we also need God, because we need to create something higher than ourselves. What do we form when we have a relationship with God? We allow God to enter us. Allow God to enter us. So God can be this, although seemingly invisible, active and present heavenly parent. And we can be not only children, but we can also be what we call true parents to our own kids. Now, why do I use the word true? It's because this process of maturing does not come naturally to us. We have to choose it. And we can tell from this world that there are a lot of parents, and it's probably going to be me one day, one of these parents, that are not at God's standard, are not at the standard of the universal principles of the universe. We fall short. I'm probably going to fall short. Now, this is something we're going to explore in future meetings here, is that why don't we choose to follow these universal principles. Because the Creator wouldn't just leave us to choose, because otherwise, this is the result. We don't choose. The Creator, God, wants us to choose to follow universal principles so that God Himself can become a heavenly parent. That's something we're going to talk about more. But I hope this answers why our origin is important, because our origin is what allows us to fulfill our higher purpose. By having a relationship with the origin, we actually can fulfill our higher purpose and follow this universal principle that the rest of the universe is following. And at the same time, our origin can fulfill His purpose to become a heavenly parent that is present with His children. Because that's the universal principle of the universe. A man and a woman come together, they form children, and then they become parents themselves. That was God's original intent. That's what the universe has been doing, and that's what human beings are trying to do. So I hope this was informative and got you thinking, why our origin matters and how relating with our origin can really impact our lives for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke, for that talk, our very first talk, and I think you said it on a good note, so I really appreciate you. Some of the things that I took up from this talk was how, what does the origin and I have in common, or the origin in all of us? And the answer that I came to while Luke was talking was a desire to experience love. I think that's universal without exception for everyone. We want to experience love, whether it's with a romantic partner, our parents, friends. That is the desire. And God also has the desire to experience love. And as a parent, if He can connect with us and form a good relationship with us, He can experience that love that He's been desiring and wanting to experience for all this time. So I hope this got you thinking, and we'll actually be breaking off into discussion groups now. I encourage you guys